Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Sirenia, Riddles, Ruins, and Revelations, out February 12th on Napalm Records. This album has 11 tracks, 52 minutes in length, and this is the band's 10 full-length studio album. They're a symphonic gothic band from Norway, and this is an album that has a ton of riddles, a few ruins, but not many revelations. I was left scratching my head most of the time, not really sure exactly where was I going with this record. Where were they going with their sound? I'm still not sure of that. Now, as far as structure is concerned, this is a straightforward, very linear record, not just because of the structure it has, but also from the soundscape that it carries. Very consistent, very balanced, very cohesive across all the tracks, creating a little bit of repetitiveness. So as a listener, you start to feel like you know exactly where you're going, you know where you are, and there's really no surprises around the corner. So the album becomes really easy to navigate through, becomes easy to digest, like I said, and it's an album that you just have to sit back, let the record do the work, let the songs take you, because as you move from track to track, that movement is very seamless, because there's a lot of similarities from song to song, and a lot of the atmospheres carry over from one to the other. So you almost get lost in this album, but not lost necessarily in a good way. You get lost because, like I said before, there's a sense of repetitiveness, so you just feel like you're just spinning your wheels. You've kind of heard this song before, even though this is not a song that you actually have heard, but it just has a lot of similarities with previous tracks, and then it has similarities with tracks that are going to come down the line. So that, to me, it works well as far as making the album simple. It works well as far as making the structure linear, but it doesn't work well as far as the overall playability and how much fun it is to listen to an album that has these sort of characteristics. Now, once you get into the soundscape, this is an album that it's driven by the keyboards, by the electronic elements, by the symphonic elements of the album itself. And it hurt the album. I felt that they lacked a little bit of warmth, they lacked a little bit of depth, they definitely didn't feel organic. They felt like they were overly constructed, and that took away from the overall essence and from making this album feel larger than life, to feel big. You don't just have to create an album that sounds big, it has to feel big. And this album sounds big at times, but doesn't feel that way. It feels a little bit deflated. It feels like it's very popish, very dance-driven, really easy listening record. There's not a lot of weight, there's not a lot of heaviness on this album, and a lack of those elements also hurt the overall sensation of the album being bigger, of having this larger sound. So it's an album that has a lot of great elements, but some of them are hidden underneath the layers of the keyboards, the synthesizer, and all the other electronic elements, some of them being the drums and the guitars. If you look at the drums, for example, they're really subdued on this record. They never really offer a lot of substance. They don't offer a strong bass line. They're there, they're one element, they're a component, but they're not really adding this incredible path in which the song can then be built upon and pushed forward with, and perhaps be pushed forward by the guitars. The guitars are also there. I mean, if you look, you'll find them. The solos are there, the riffs are there, the melodies are there, but they lack life, they lack warmth, once again, hidden underneath all the keyboards, all the synthesizers, all the electronic elements. If you look at the solos, for example, on this record, you're going to find that the solos have life. They have, they shine. They pick, in some cases, they pick elements of the track and they explore those elements. They repackage them and they deliver it to the listener. In other cases, they really explode onto the song, making the song a little bit more vibrant, giving the song a different look, a different feel. But they felt like they were there because they had to be there. In the formula of creating these songs, each track called for a solo in a specific spot, and that's exactly where you got them. So once again, it doesn't feel organic, it doesn't feel natural, it doesn't feel like the solo was there because that was a result of the construction of the song, but more a construction of the song from more of an outside perspective, not an introspective perspective. It just felt like it had to be there, so then we're gonna put it there. Not necessarily we got there and now I really feel like a solo here is the right thing to do and I'm gonna go with it, and whatever it goes, it's where it goes. I never got that sensation out of this record. Everything felt very programmed, very strict. There was very strict guidelines when you listen to this album. It really feels like boxy. Like this album feels like a box. There's not much thought outside of that box. Everything is within that box, finding very rigid guidelines in which they navigate it through. And I felt that the guitars at times really needed to be pushed into the forefront a little bit. Let them guide the tracks, let them be the force that drives the songs, perhaps adding a little bit more grittiness, a little bit more heaviness. Overall, that would have made the overall sound a lot more healthy. It would make the sound of this album a lot more pungent, a lot stronger, a lot bigger. and it's not there because the keyboards, the electronic elements, the symphonic elements are drowning everything. They are in the forefront. They are the be and end all of this record, and that to me just doesn't work. I just didn't connect with it. There was not enough bite, there was not enough strength, there was not enough power behind it. Like I said, it feels very popish, very dense. That's the atmosphere, that's the vibe that I got listening to this record. So it's just not a record that meets my criteria, or at least that meets my taste when it comes to this style or to this approach. They could have used all of these elements but in a different format, mixing them in a different way and allowing some of the others to come into the forefront a little bit and dictate more where this record was going to go. Now, once you get to the vocals, that is the bright spot of this album, but that also proves that having a great, insane vocalist is not enough to save a record. It's just not enough to keep the record going, to give it the life that it needs and make the album be one that's memorable, and that is the case with this record. Emmanuelle, she's absolutely phenomenal. She carries as much as she can. I felt like she had the weight of the world on her shoulders with this record. She tries to save this album at every single turn. She's an absolutely incredible performer. She's on full display on this record. You don't even need the harsh vocals. I mean, there's harsh vocals, there's choirs, there's backing vocals. The choirs and backing vocals work extremely well on this record, but the harsh vocals, you almost don't need them. They're there, they add flair, they add flavor, but you almost don't need them. She carries this album from a vocal perspective, and she's one of the reasons that I stayed connected with this album, because she's just phenomenal at every single turn. Incredible voice, incredible tone, incredible delivery. Overall, I'm not a fan of this album. It just feels like it's lacking. It's too digital, it's too electronic, it feels too stripped of emotions. It's not warmth, it doesn't come to life, it feels just overly processed. That's how this album comes across. And I need my music to have emotion. I need my music to have feelings and to transmit those feelings to me. And I just didn't feel that connection with this record. I felt the connection with some of the songs on the record, but not with the record overall. Now, as far as tracks are concerned, I picked 3 of the tracks that I felt that kind of broke the mold a little bit and gave us a little bit of what I wanted out of the whole record. And I want to start off with Towards an Early Grave. I love this track. The vocals on this song are just absolutely amazing. One of the songs that really allowed the guitars to have a little bit more presence, to have a little bit more of a bite as far as the overall sound is concerned. But the vocals really carry you through. They are hooky, specifically in the chorus. The chorus is so hooky, so catchy, and having backing vocals in that chorus really helps making the chorus hooky. It really allows it to be that way, allows it to be a little bit more memorable. Then you add some harsh vocals, you add some choirs, you add some spoken word. There's a little bit of everything as far as vocals are concerned on this track. You really get a full sample of what's going to be at play for the whole record in one song, and that's one of the reasons that I like this song. It just gives you a wide palette of choices as far as vocals goes, but also as far as the sound goes. It's a little bit more dynamic. The guitar solo is interesting. It kind of completes the song, and it brings a little bit of the melody that the track has into the forefront, into that solo. And once you get over that solo, you really feel like the song is complete. All the pieces are there, all the parts are there, all in the right place. Next, Passing Seasons. Vocals, vocals, vocals. This is a song that just could have been an a cappella song and it would have been still absolutely amazing. The vocals on this song are just phenomenal. The moment the song starts, I got an ABBA vibe from this track. I really felt that way in terms of the atmosphere, in terms of the sound, and in terms of delivery. Not necessarily from how the vocals sound, but how all the other elements are coming together. The verses are more stripped, the chorus is more bombastic, more over the top. The operatic vocals in the chorus are just magnificent. It really explodes. It really makes this a memorable track all around. One of the best solos on the album is in this song, and it's a solo that's not short, it's not compact. It has a little bit more life in it, and it felt to me that it was a little bit more organic. It understood a little bit better of what the song was calling for, what was the atmosphere of the track, and then it delivered it. Last but not least, the Timeless Waning, a track that has different momentums. This is a song that offers you different looks, and more often than not, those looks are coming from how the vocals are coming at you. The different styles, using clean, using harsh vocals, wherein they're coming in, taking turns, breaking the track into side A and side B, if you will. All of the definitions of times and momentums are really coming from the vocals and how they come across. And that impacts the nature of the song, it impacts how the song sounds, and it impacts how the song feels. a track that has an interesting approach to it. It feels a little bit deflated at times, but the vocals always bring the mood and lift it up ever so slightly. I really enjoy this song. It's a little bit different from the previous two. It's not as dynamic. It doesn't have as big of a presence vocally and musically. The presence on this song is really the dynamic between the two styles and the two approaches. This is it, guys. This is Sirenia with Riddles, Ruins, and Revelations, out February 12 on Napalm Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.